Good
What is up?
morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
We got Danielle and Clark in the house.
What
This is
up?
the HR Morning Show, the number one spot for all things HR, according to everybody. It's good to be with you guys. How are you guys doing this morning?
Lovely. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Love it. Clark, what's going on?
I'm doing all right. I'm 5 days off coffee, so
Nice.
we're hanging strong. We're hanging strong.
Wow.
Did you have a headache the first day?
First day was absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Especially first afternoon, evening was I was like Shaq at the free throw line. I was sweating, I was wobbling, it was brutal.
Is
Yeah,
sorry, is this a sports podcast? I
Yeah. This
can't
is
tell. Wait,
Hey,
what
it's morning
inspired
show, no coffee. So
what inspired this shift, Clark?
I had to do a cleanse. I just had to get it right. And just
Fair.
it's summer. I just had to be able to bounce around, get the energy back. It was just time.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I
Well,
personally have had
amazing.
a Starbucks card, a gold card since 2012, so I won't be stopping anytime soon.
That would be
Well
like
done.
a two-week headache if you stopped. Yeah.
Well done. Well, I'm glad you're over the withdrawals. That's good.
We're back. Now we got natural
Yeah.
energy today.
You see what happens is people take a week off our show and they get withdrawals as well because we're addictive like
That's
coffee.
very true.
So, hey guys, if you're out there as well, get in the comments. We would love to hear from all of you. This is a live show. I'm here, Clark's here, Danielle's here. So we'd love to hear from you guys if you're out there. And as always, if you go to purpleacornnetwork.com, you can check out this show. And I think we've added how many different shows? It must be plus 10.
I feel like it's like
Ooh, like
15 at this point.
At least 15.
Yeah, we got shows from everybody in the industry that you need to hear from. And do us a favor, if you can go and follow us on LinkedIn. This is on the Purple Acorn channel. We're trying to get to 2,000 followers. I've been saying this for 6 months, so we need to get there, all right? Because I don't like to beg for followers, but please follow us. And then remember, we're on YouTube, so you can catch up with all past episodes, all the news, all the conversations that we've had. And each week we have some really, really great guests. Today is no exception. We got some really, really great guests, some really, really great segments. We're also a podcast, and we are live every Tuesday. We just hit 1 year last week, and we're excited for what is to come as well. So get in the comments, say hi to us. We'd love to hear from you. If you got questions, comments as we go through each segment, we love to include everybody. We love to keep this interactive as well. So get in the chat, say hi to us.
Tell us what you were up to this weekend. I personally took a vocal coaching class.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
What, Frozen?
What
What are you
is
singing?
that, singing? Singing?
So there were actors, there were public speakers, there were some coaches or leadership consultants. It was 7 of us, and it was led by this woman named Alyssa Moss Weinzimmer, who is great. She lives in upstate New York, and she actually went to USC. So fight on. I did
UFC? The
USC.
UFC? Okay.
University of Spoiled Children, aka
Okay.
Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cool because she was actually recording the course for an online version. But I got to attend in person. We learned about the psychology, a lot of psychology behind mindset and also nervous system. And so how do you control both your mind and your body while you're on stage? And there are nerves oftentimes.
It's true.
Well, you're wearing shorts.
Yeah, if you're wearing shorts, you're all good. Or a hat. Hat and shorts is a perfect combo if you want to look professional. Hide your perfect. That's why
just hide your face. That's how you do it.
Well, it wasn't singing. It was more just speaking and breathing and just presenting on stage. I thought you were taking singing lessons, but that's my bad.
Almost, but no, almost.
That was optional. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Clark? What do you do this weekend? Anything good?
Man, hung out. We got the 202 life. I can't even remember what we did earlier this weekend. I think we did a little swimming, a little walking around. We screwed up the dates on a kid's birthday party, so we missed out on that. That's just classic,
Amazing.
Of young kids. Yeah, nothing crazy. We're just
parental craze.
It's like March Madness, survive in advance over here.
Yeah, it's 2-2, so that's good.
Yeah.
That was good. Why don't we move on to the headlines this week? Because I know we've had kind of some spicy headlines this
Nothing
week.
happened,
Whirlwind.
right? Oh, I'm just
Nothing
kidding.
happened.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Never heard of
Nothing.
any news.
Ooh. Whoa. So what's happening here? I mean, has anyone not heard of this?
It must be love. No, it's yeah. It's. I mean,
All
what
over
else is
people.
there to say?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it. That was the headline.
I mean, that's what was the best meme? I'm not going to say that I saw one with Bill Cosby, but
I will say like this is a cultural phenomenon now that like I think will live on similarly to like the early days of Musically or Vine. This felt like one of those moments where like we're at the beginning of generative AI and people having this as like a tool. And so I then saw, you know, AI generated videos of this with like different people, whether it be, you know, political figures or other celebrities, whatnot. And it was just like, it really did feel like a cultural moment. Unfortunately, making HR not look so great. But what I think that kind of plays into people's fears and anxieties when it does come to HR that they don't actually have your back.
What do you like me and my wife were talking about this. Like what, because even she was like, she's like, this is like all over my Facebook. It's like it was like everywhere. So what do you think it was about this story that just took off? Because literally it would like, I mean, even local brands to me, you know, I'm in like Kenosha, Wisconsin, Kenoware we call it. I was like, the bakery did a meme on this, and they were like, "Come get bread," and I'm like, "This is so." Like 10 businesses around me were like literally using this meme, and they were getting more reactions than they've ever got. So like, I guess like why did this just go off so quickly and in the way that it did, and like completely take over?
it's
Why
just
do
a
you think?
perfect. Is it just a perfect storm? Like sometimes when you have a post that takes off, you're like, really that one? Like that took off, and it's kind of a blend of a perfect storm of maybe it's the middle of summer. There's not a ton going on, relatively speaking,
Yeah,
in the
just
news
wars
cycle.
everywhere
Just well,
and tariffs, you
relatively
know.
speaking, right? It's a little bit, it's a little bit calmer than the usual chaos, right? And I don't know, there is something about just you got a fast growing company, a CEO. It's what like
Had you heard of
billion.
astronomy before this?
I had not.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's just easy clickbait, right? The CEO, the head of HR, with people, struggling with jobs and all that, it's just probably just rubs people the wrong way, right? Easy targets. They put themselves out there. I think the audacity to kind of be in the public space in a suite, front and center, doing that. You get Coldplay, right? Which is obviously worldwide, and
Called them out.
it's just and called them out, right? Like it was just almost too perfect. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's kind of the perfect storm
Yeah.
of
Perfect.
events, and
That's
everyone
Tuck World
loves.
Cup's take on this. It was perfect.
It's well, as far as content's concerned and memes, it was. There's fallout. There's obviously collateral damage and all that for
Yeah, just the
their
families.
families and all that. Hey, that's that's not to say that's not the case, but it's a perfect meme storm. It just is what it is.
Yeah. I also think we're kind of hungry for this type of tea. Like, if you think about how
Thirsty,
many
maybe.
years we used to hear about celebrity scandals and how tight-lipped celebrities now typically are, and how much less access we actually have to their lives and what's going on in their lives, like, we're deprived of the tea. So I also think that's part of it. Like, how often do you get to see an affair exposed on a public stage with like public kind of figures? Like, very rare,
Well,
very rare.
Adam's saying that Joel thinks it was a setup. So
I mean, look, I don't actually think it was a setup, but I don't know, in some weird way it could be. But
seems too viral for
yeah,
Joel.
well, look, guys, if you are a recruiter, I actually went on the Astronomer LinkedIn site, and they're actually hiring like go to market recruiters. So I just think of like
Among
some
other
really easy inbox messages, like, to stand out for candidates, like, we invite you to a Coldplay concert
We
with our
got Bruno Mars
CEO.
tickets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Next concert.
I was thinking about it though, because it's what I've seen really interesting is like all of like the HR influencers. I mean, our very own, our friend Mike Peditto, Realistic Recruiting, he did a video on it. I actually thought his video was really funny. He was like, "These people's lives are getting ruined." And then it was like he talked about it, but it was like obviously the whole like everyone who's like an HR influencer. So you got like humorous resources, that whole crew. It's like everybody was talking about it, and I think what's interesting is like there is like within the work world now, you're kind of getting like I don't want to say like celebrities, but like you're getting like mainstream influencers. So when things happen in the world of work now, it's becoming like mainstream. Now, what's interesting to me with this is LinkedIn didn't do a news story on it, like which I thought was really interesting that they were just like, hey, probably because maybe Astronomers paying them money for they're a paying client, but they didn't do any news on it, which I thought was interesting. And then Jim in the chat says, "I think this meme will live forever." I think it will too. This is like one which it's probably gonna like pop up. Like I'll probably use it on my page like a year from now. Um, so I don't know. It's
It's also the lesson of like all he had to do was not scurry away. Like
yeah, but
he did the it was like he was on fire, right? He did the stop, drop, and roll. And it's like if he just played it cool, like it would have
if he had
moved on.
just not had an affair, I mean, this could have all been avoided.
Well,
That's true too.
I mean, I'm assuming, yeah, that was not an option in these two's minds. But I'm saying in the moment, right? It's just almost better
Yeah.
to freeze than to run.
Well, I saw like a HR director, she posted, she was like, "Hey, I had nothing to do with this, like, I wasn't the other person," because there was, like, another person, I guess, in the visuals, like a friend who looked like they kinda knew what was going on, who apparently worked there, but, and I saw Amy Miller did a really good post where she was like, "There's this cycle of what happens, and it's like the first day everybody jumps on the memes." Everybody makes fun of it. And it's like the second day, people are still kind of making fun of it. But then the third day, you get the virtue signalers,
Yes.
How dare you make fun of this? And it's just like she just called out the cycle. So I started to get that too. Like, of course, like all the perfect people in my world of Facebook were like pointing out how terrible it was. And anybody who jumped on this trend is just disgusting.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, or
The people
maybe
that
just,
had the affair. But yeah.
having an affair. I mean, that was bad.
That's probably worse than
Adam
talking
says
about
it
it.
was the meme we needed right now. Yeah, I mean, but this is, it's interesting. It's like we look at things that bring us together, and this is the kind of thing that brings us together. Like there was no division with this, although actually I saw a couple people that were kind of pissed about it. But anyway, let us know what do you think about this in the chat. Like, what are your thoughts? Is it crazy? I just want to hear from you guys out there as well. Anything else to be said about this? What else do we got? Clark?
I don't know.
Didn't
has
the
everything
Simpsons
been said?
predict this? Did you see that? Simpsons predicted this?
Are you kidding me? They predict everything.
Yeah.
I know. If you look, they literally have it like a guy with the same shirt, same
I gotta
outfit,
go
and
rewatch The Simpsons to figure out what's gonna happen next.
I will say Astronomer might be a good place to work now that this happened.
Well, they're gonna have their policies buttoned up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're gonna clean house.
A lot of pizza
So-
parties.
a lot of pizza parties, a lot of concerts. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, that's the news this week. Let us know in the chat what you think, and let's move on to our favorite segment, the Global Report. Lynn, hello.
Hey there.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Got a little rain here in the desert. It's good at the moment.
Oh, that's never good though in the desert.
Oh, it's it's been
the
so
oil.
hot.
The oil starts getting slick on those roads, and then
Yeah, it's okay. which is,
good.
we monsoon late in the afternoons now, and then it kind of washes away, and then the daytime it all dries itself up by the time the morning starts. We're okay at the moment. We haven't had any floods yet. So far, so good. So
Well,
how are you?
that's good.
How are
I
things?
am doing. Everything is good over here. We're doing well. We were just chatting about last week's huge CEO scandal. So how can you not talk about that? I mean,
There
it's
was
just
anything that happened? What are you talking about? I don't know what
I
what
know.
you're yeah.
I had no idea. I had to bust out my binoculars to see because apparently astronomer was having some problems. So there's my joke for the day. But what is new with you? Where have you been? What are you up to? I see you're back home, but have you been on the road recently?
I was it last week or the week before? I had to do a little jump over to Poland to meet with our leadership team. Always fun. Jumping in,
Amazing.
did that thing. But no, I'm home. I am planning to be home, hopefully until we start on the road for the fall season, which will be, I feel like we're like in the Gilded Age now, in the fall season when we
In the
all start to go.
we all come out of our caves and
Fall
we gather together. So what's new with Smart Recruiters? I know you had the big launch a
Yep.
couple weeks ago now. So get us up to speed on that. How did that go? How are your clients, customers?
Yeah,
What's new?
it went really well. I think the big focus right now has been the new set of conversations that we're starting to have with customers and even with prospects. It's the dialogue around when is the right time to move. When do you
Yeah,
start to really have that path forward to start to integrate AI into your larger TA tech stack? There's still a lot of angst out there, right? And I think overarchingly, what we're seeing is kind of five big things that are starting to happen that we're seeing. I'm starting to bucket them into some spaces, and I think it's interesting in a place for us to start having a larger conversation as an industry. One, there is a lot of everybody knows the buzzwords, but there's a lack of understanding of what those mean, what the nuances of them are, and what they actually imply. Everything from how does that actually impact your tech stack to what are the ramifications from a legal and compliance perspective. Not all AI is the same, right? Like there's a lot of digestion, I think, that needs to happen, and people are starting to feel panicked about that, and need to go there. I also think, I have to say, TA is still rooted to a certain degree with his HR friend. We often have to go through CHROs for decisions and frameworks. HR is a compliance business. And so there is a lot of angst around rules and structures, and everybody's waiting for perfection. I don't think perfection is ever a thing that's going to fully happen. So
yeah,
how do we navigate that risk? I think people are worried about. Companies are having a really hard time being able to define clear ROI still. Again, I think part of that is transparently because a lot of the solutions that have been kind of produced for them to go and leverage and utilize, I would call them kind of surface level solutions. They're not really deeper into their tech stacks. And so they may provide some initial efficiencies, kind of make workflows a little bit smoother, but they don't connect to large ROI solutions, and cost versus ROI is always a balance. And how do you get there? And then just the other big question is who owns the decision. This uncertainty around tech stack evolution, particularly in the age of AI. Now we have new people entering the mix. We've always had TA leaders, CHROs, CIOs, CTOs in the mix. Now we're starting to see AI officers in the mix. We're starting to see automation officers come in who are looking at kind of larger infrastructure scales. I think those are the places where we're going to start to see a lot of dialogue and friction over the next 6 to 8 months as an industry, because I think the tech is now starting to evolve to a point where the options are there. Now it's how do you get everybody comfortable with starting to jump off the cliff and start implementing them to actually see impact and value. So that's what I'm seeing. Those are the space. What do you think? Are you seeing anything like that out there? What are you seeing, Joel?
I'm just seeing a lot of pressure that I think is being put on leaders within different business segments that they it's almost like this unspoken pressure of you need to be looking at what you're going to do with AI. You need to have a plan, but and so there's an expectation of, okay, you need to know what the plan is for AI. But then at the same time, to your point, I don't think everybody's really clear on what their workflows are even, and what the actual problems are.
Right.
And so it's almost like working backwards. We got to figure out what are the problems, that we can actually solve. But there's still that fascination with what are the tools out there, and like what are the tools. So you almost have these vendors which are sometimes trying to create problems that aren't there. They're not very clear on the workflows.
Right.
And then there's this pressure from leadership where we see it all the time. What are you doing with AI? What's your plan with AI? And
Right.
so I think that's where that pressure comes in for people. And it can be a challenging spot. And I think also, from like a conference perspective, I don't know. It's like the conversation around AI. It seems like people have a little bit of fatigue around that, and they're like, okay, we're doing a lot of talking, but what are we actually providing? Like you said, what's the ROI?
What's the ROI? Where are we actually starting to do it? So I think you're right. I think we're seeing this unique tension between a perception that we need to be moving and a sense of lethargy that says, I don't know what to do or how to do it. And I don't really know what problems I'm trying to solve. Right.
Exactly.
Because fundamentally, I have a belief that there are larger opportunities in our TA workflow and how we think about recruiting and opportunities that could be afforded us with AI. But it requires us to look at our business processes. So it requires us to look at how we do the work. I've said it before. I think this is a once in a generation opportunity for us to reimagine what this entire experience of connecting people to jobs feels like. But that requires open brain space, the ability to understand what's possible, to go into blue sky thinking, and then to be working with a series of solution providers and technology providers who understand as much about how TA operates as the businesses they're trying to support. And that's not always the case, right? I mean,
100%.
part of the reason that we have so many solutions that are being built out there that look interesting. They're kind of glossy looking. They might have some kind of, you can look at them and go, oh, that looks really good in a booth, right? I can like do this really great demo with it. But does it solve a real world problem? Are they creating problems that don't exist? How does it help us progress and move forward? And if I can't answer those questions as a TA leader, I definitely can't make the business case successfully. So there's a lot, I think, of work we need to be doing. If there's one thing I would ask everybody as we go into this fall season, if you're starting to get that pressure from your business to say, how are you moving forward? What is your AI strategy? How are you going to create efficiencies? Right? That your conversations as you go into this next 6 to 8 months should be what is possible, and spending some time to understand the capabilities that could happen even outside of our own world. How is AI being used? So you can start to imagine what you could do, and then really start working through those business cases and building out real new workflows that we can start to work towards. That's where we're going to start to see triggering ROI, and we're going to see value. Boy, I just went off on a rant, but that's
the AI rant. I love it.
AI rant. That is where I'm at right now. I think we've got to transition the conversation now from what's the newest AI tool out there to how does AI now fit into the infrastructure of this world of connecting people to jobs. What could we do with it? And how do we get to become, my mantra out there to all the TA leaders that I'm working with and the companies that I'm having conversations with is, listen, you either become really smart about this tech and what's capable and what's feasible and how it operates and how it works, and understand what the limitations and the options are, and you start to design and imagine with it, or other people in your organization and business will do so for you, and you will lose control over your domain here in TA, right? Those
100%.
IT leaders are going to do it. Those automation officers are going to do it. You're going to start getting individuals coming in from other parts of the business who have nothing to do with how you've done your work up until this point. We're going to start making recommendations, and they might actually have some interesting stuff to say, but it's not going to put you in a good place going forward if you don't start to understand this stuff.
What did you think about was it Perplexity's CEO? The comment that's kind of gone viral as well within the TA space, saying that in 6 months recruiting's going to be replaced. I think he said that it could be replaced with like one prompt and a week of work. Thoughts around like statements like that? I mean, obviously that
I
just
mean,
seems so wild.
I'll tell you. Listen, Matt Alder and I said this 2 years ago. We said, listen, there's an expiration tag already starting to happen on traditional recruiting workflows and processes and roles. I think that, I mean, do I think it's as dramatic as there'll be no recruiters in 6 months and everything's going to be a prompt? Well, do I think it's possible it could work that way? Sure. Do I think it will happen that way? No, for all the reasons I just said, which is people won't put that tech into place. They won't understand how to use it. There'll be too much angst and risk around it. And it may not necessarily be the right option to go forward. Is it feasible? I will tell you, I have seen workflows that theoretically could be replaced like a year ago that could have replaced recruiters. Should it be? That's another question. But could it be? Absolutely. The could is always there. Would we? Should we? I don't know.
Well, it's also like there's always, well, I shouldn't say always, at least in the near future, there's going to be a group of people that have preference for humans. And I just think about the ATM. That's like the example that I think of in my mind. Like I worked in the banking industry for a number of years, and the ATM could do everything that the teller could do. It could do everything that the banker could do. But we still had a line of people waiting to see the teller because they enjoyed the interaction. And so there's like this human preference. I think that we can't count on that for too long because I see a generation coming through that are happy to interact with chatbots.
Right.
You hear about people who have relationships with chatbots.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I have a 17-year-old, and as much as it gives me angst to say this aloud, I am somebody who works in the tech spaces and I'm comfortable for the most part with tech. And the fact that I have to actually critically ask the question when she talks about friends or things that are going on about whether I have a couple of questions, like, is this an online friend or is this an in-person friend?
Yeah.
And then I get online friend. Now I've got to go a step deeper and go, is this an online bot friend that you've generated and created, or is this like an actual human being?
Yeah.
And then the third part is, do you even know? And it is equally split between those answers. And there's no differentiation for her and what those relationships feel like. That's the piece we've got to get our head around. That's the stuff that's starting to shift.
And that stuff was around too. I remember, again, back in that banking situation, I remember one of the first situations I ran into was a lady that was getting scammed by an online lover. And it was like she never met the person, just all through email.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if that was to be AI on the back, it'd be a similar thing because it's the same interaction. It's like these online emails, these DMs. So we've kind of been doing that with humans for a long time.
That's right. It didn't just emerge, right? I think we sometimes assume new tech or new ways in which we operate, new ways in which we start to embed technology into our cultural nuance is new stuff. It doesn't just happen like that, right? It happens over time. But fundamentally, the takeaway here is we are running out of time to wait and see.
Yeah.
And if you're running out of time to wait and see, what do you need to do? You need to start getting smart, quick. Don't rely on just kind of your standard partners and vendors to tell you how this stuff all operates. Go get smart yourself. Understand some of the stuff underneath the hood, so you can ask smarter questions and then really start thinking through it. And get comfortable with the idea that if you don't imagine what the future is going to be, somebody else is going to do it for you. And are you comfortable with that? If you are, cool, hold tight. If you're not, start thinking now, start imagining and piloting and testing now. I think we were having this conversation a year ago, and I think people felt like they had more time than they did. I really feel much like the perplexity conversation is coming out. Do I think it's that dramatic? No, but I do think moving into a new tech stack or an AI infused tech stack is now going to be the norm by the time I get this next 6-month cycle. That's where we're at.
100%. 100%. Well, where can people find out about smart recruiters? Where can people find you? I mean, you're not just on LinkedIn now. Now you're on. I know you're on TikTok, Instagram. You're everywhere. So what's the best place for people to connect with you? What's best place for people to find out about Smart Recruiters?
Absolutely. So if you want to find out about Smart Recruiters, obviously go to smartrecruiters.com and get all the stuff you need there. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but if you want to get into this AI conversation, start getting smart about it. I do daily drops of 1 minute bits of information to talk about how AI works and what to do with it. And I'm doing it on TikTok. I'm like taking over my little TikTok.
You're killing it.
I'm kind of liking the TikTok thing, honestly, Joel. It's kind of that's my new place to hang.
You're doing a great job with the TikTok content. Definitely a ton of value there. So guys, check out Smart Recruiters. Go follow Lynn on all those platforms and connect with her on LinkedIn. Top voice over there. And we will see you back next week, Lynn.
Absolutely. We'll talk next week. Toodles, guys.
All right.
Chats with friends. Brian, what's going on, man?
Hey, man. I'm feeling real good today, man. Thank you for having me on.
Good. We tried last week. We're gonna try again this week, and we're gonna make it happen. So I was excited to talk to you then, even more excited now because I looked up, what you're building, and it's super cool. So, for those of you who don't know, like you're the founder, CEO of Previewed, right? I love the tagline, first bell to first paycheck. Why don't you just give us like a breakdown of what Previewed is?
Yeah, just in simplest term, what we're doing here at Preview is creating the drafting and scouting portal for careers. So think NCAA recruiting meets LinkedIn for STEM and skilled trades. Pretty much what we do, we take kids from the ages of 10 to 17, take them from career exploration to career readiness to career destination, streamlining from classroom to career seamlessly.
Super cool. Super cool. So how did this idea come to be, right? Like what's the origin story?
Yeah, man. So the origin story, initially, we started out wanting to be the TikTok of job boards.
Okay.
With that, we wanted to reimagine what job listings were. From there, customer discovery led us to realizing that there was a massive gap, as well as labor shortage within the blue collar trade. So we initially shifted to become like a blue collar job marketplace. But then when you sit down and you speak with thousands of career seekers between the ages of 18 to 54, and you're getting the same thing across the line. I wish I had this sooner. I had a tool somewhat similar like Preview sooner before I jumped out into the workforce. Really transcended with us to whereas we went ahead and decided to go further upstream. This was a root issue. Most people, by the time they're 18, 19, or at any point in their life, if they're stuck in their career, that they're not truly interested in, it's extremely hard to transition and make that pivot, because when you have a mortgage, you have responsibilities, it's pretty much hard to stop and go into a whole nother career starting from ground zero and working your way up. So pretty much what we decided is go upstream and pretty much provide kids with more exposure to these opportunities, to whereas now you can align not only purpose, but you can also connect true drive and opportunity for them in a much younger age, to whereas we can plant those seeds, to whereas we can eliminate the friction of truly winging it and provide more clarity to receive that true career success.
I love it. I mean, I think you're spot on in terms of just creating awareness around the opportunity is so important. I recruited when I started recruiting. I recruited in skilled trades. I was placing forklift drivers, general labor help, warehouse workers, and it was always, especially on the trade side. I mean, machinists, mechanics, electricians, companies were always searching for quality talent. The pipeline was super dry, and that was a concern 12 years ago. And I know that it's changed a little bit, right? But there was nothing like what you're talking about. I never heard of anything in terms of being this ingrained in the schools and how you're implementing kind of software and like the tutorials and kind of how kids can engage. What's been the feedback, right? Like walk us through like the experience that say like one of your students kind of has going through the program. I think it's like Carver AI, right? Like that's the platform that you have. Yeah.
So pretty much what Carver is, we provide students with a AI assistant that's pretty much their own CDC, their career development coordinator,
Yeah.
that's pretty much walking them through and personalizing their career discovery journey. So pretty much when kids come in, they take these mini assessments. It's gamified. It's mini simulations and different, tasks. They're then shown day in the life videos between the ages of 10 to 14. By the time they're 14 and transitioning into high school, that 14 to 17 period, we're laying down the foundationary skills to whereas by the time they graduate at 17, 18, they at least can take that first step on solid foundation to whereas they can then have that, desire and purpose of knowing where they're hitting at when it comes down to, that next step in life, which is stepping into the workforce. So it's pretty much eliminating and providing that clarity for them. And that AI assistant pretty much stays with them. Like I tell everyone, like Dora had boots and backpack when she was on her adventure. It's the same thing that we're trying to do, provide every kid with their personal sidekick that can help them see that clarity when, people ask them what they want to grow, what they want to be when they grow up. They can now have a more clear, concise answer to what that is and be more spot on with it.
I love that. I love that. And what do you feel is kind of the next step? Is it like from having the AI assistant, having that knowledge to matching it up with like internships, eventually like paid jobs? Like what's, in terms of like the graduation, what's those next steps look like?
So that next step looks like two things. It's either then connecting those students with our career resource partners, which are going to be like your trade school. So you're going to be like the apprenticeship school of shipbuilding in Newport News, Virginia, or you could have Lincoln Tech or, things of that nature that are trade specific. Or we may be talking about STEM organizations or even like Williamsburg or Williamson's College of the Trades up in PA. That next transition, whether it be going to trade school or directly into the workforce, whereas we're connecting them directly with an employer within our network that has a internal apprenticeship program or has a true idea of where this person fits within that whole trajectory. So ultimately, like the ultimate goal for us, full cycle, is creating a career life cycle application, transitioning from that first bill when you were in, sixth grade, trying to figure out what you possibly, want to be out there to that first paycheck when you walk in through the door and you've already obtained those skills and, that first day at your day job. We want to be in that full career life cycle with them.
Absolutely. I love that. I mean, you've been on this journey for a couple of years now, right? Really hone in on Previewed. What's something that's kind of surprised you or opened your eyes about the reality of like tackling this problem?
That there's, a lot of people working towards this problem on so many different facets, even just outside of, other, organizations like ourselves. You have so many nonprofits, you have teachers and, different educators, different people in different professions all bringing these issues up to the forefront, and it's just so segmented to whereas we're seeing whereas if we were able to connect all the dots and connect everyone that's trying to tackle this problem, we could probably put this problem out and have a streamlined solution probably relatively quickly if we were able to eliminate all the fluff and all the noise and actually come together as one. So that's one thing that we're seeing, because it's not something that people are just not doing or not even thinking about. It's efforts and different initiatives that are being placed that are in effect right now across the country. And it's just that if everyone could see on a grander scale and we were all interconnected, man, I think we would all have a better sense of pride of what we're doing for the future of our, future generation of our workforce. So that's one thing that I'm seeing thus far.
Yeah, well, it's it's good to hear, right, that you see different fragments. Always interesting to try to combine all of them. It's kind of a whole other problem to tackle, and I know you're kind of solving the one that you have in front of you. And I think just on a national level, right? It seems like, I don't know what your thoughts are. Is like there's more awareness, right? I know there's been obviously some issues structurally with, like, you see stuff with planes and all that stuff. Like, it's been in the news a lot this year, and I think people are seeing the need that, like, we need people to understand. We need tradesmen, tradeswomen. Like, we need people to understand these things and to be able to build things, well and securely, and like have things that work, right? And that are operational. So do you feel like there's like kind of like a moment like this year, in the last like year or two, that's been kind of like, all right, the consensus, is more of like, hey, this is like a real problem, not just like if you're in this world, you understand it's a problem, but kind of more on a bigger level?
Yeah, I would say within this past year, but it's just like a different, like so many different elements of things that have led up to this, junction point of everyone coming on board. Like, hey, this is the issue. We need to do something,
Yeah.
and we need to take action. Mainly, I would say you would add in, the current bloodshed that we're seeing with entry level opportunities on white collar roles with
Yeah.
AI. You see the massive you know problems when it comes down to these labor shortages, to whereas, like you stated, some of the issues in aviation, where we're not having adequate maintenance technicians when it comes to aviation, to whereas we have a shortage there in so many other different elements and different industries, as well as just the infrastructure around us. We see that the infrastructure around us is crumbling, and if we don't jump in and implement or have some type of effective game plan, it could be, a societal crisis across the nation. So we're seeing that, but at the same time, man, I just feel like it's like overdue. Whereas so many of our elders, those baby boomers that pretty much led the push within these skilled trades, these dirty jobs that people would list or describe, they're now leaving, and we're seeing that gap expand exponentially. So right now, you're seeing. I can honestly say I'm happy seeing the push with Gen Z, because they're definitely interested in jumping into these roles, because they're looking for purpose, they're looking for direction. We just have to provide them guidance and provide a different level of invitation to invite them into these roles, and providing awareness to it makes it so much easier for them to tap into things that they didn't even think was possible
Yeah.
before now. So seeing that in real time, man, I'm definitely confident that we're going to definitely be able to avoid a labor crisis within infrastructure and across these different avenues, and then honestly find that next level and next footing, because we're still also understanding what the next level of careers may look like once this AI thing is fully abreast with us, and it's a part of our everyday life on an ongoing basis. So we still don't know what the unknown there is as well, but I feel like we're definitely taking the initiatives in the right foot, in the right steps. So
I love it, man. Well, kudos to you for not sitting on the sidelines and just diving in and doing something about it. So, and it's super cool what you're building, and I know you got a grant and everything else. So the momentum is upward. So I got to ask, like, how can schools, employers, HR, parents, kids, like, how can they get be part of this, right? And kind of join what you're doing at Previewed and benefit from it.
yeah, so pretty much you can always head over to preview.career, sign up. And pretty much with every sign up, it comes with a one-on-one call with me and with either myself or a member of my team. And we sit down with you and we walk you through the process, tell you more about the mission, the journey, and then how we can get you involved. At the same time, if you connect with us on LinkedIn or TikTok, we're heavy there. Go to any of our pages, preview.careers, or connect with me personally. I'm more than happy to go ahead and tell you more about how you can get involved, as well as how we may be able to make an impact in your community, as well as on the students that you guys love to serve as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, make sure to find Brian Glover on LinkedIn, on TikTok, preview.careers. Brian, thanks again for being here, man. Thank you for sharing, and congrats. It's super cool what you're building, man. I wish you continued success.
Man, thank you for having me. And likewise, brother, you guys continue to do what you're doing. Love the show, and definitely a blessing to be on here this morning with you.
I appreciate it.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Brian.
All right. Chats with a friend. We have Adam Bernard here with us. Adam, welcome to the show. It's good to finally meet.
I know, Joel. It's great to meet you and interact live after you may be famous on TikTok.
I love it. Yeah. Why don't you get us up to speed? So for anyone who doesn't know who you are, how did we get connected? And give us a little insider view into your story.
Sure. So November 15th of last year, Friday morning, woke up. I was working for General Motors. I had a message on my cell phone saying, please check your email. Had a little trouble getting into my email. And there was a message and it said, today's a sad day. We're saying farewell to one of our colleagues. And if you got this message, you're one of them. And that was after 38 and a half years. The email
Wow.
was time stamped at 5:07 a.m. So I went on to LinkedIn. I was kind of stunned. I wrote, 38 and a half years, 5:07 a.m. email. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I went and woke up my husband and told him, just so you know, my next car is not going to be a General Motors product. And then you found my LinkedIn post and you made a story and talked about my history. And that wound up going viral. And we got into the USA Today business section back in January, talking about GM and corporate culture and layoffs and loyalty and all sorts of stuff.
So wild. Yeah. I had I think it was a connection of mine had liked your post. And then I do a lot of commentary around, kind of what we're going to talk about today around like corporate culture and how, so often when you get into these corporate environments on the front end, it's like, we'll treat you like family. We really care about you. You know, we'll take you to a Coldplay concert. And then the next, it's like on the way out, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
thanks. Nice to know you. And so I think in reading your story, what's really struck me is number one, that post that you referenced, the post that you did on LinkedIn, there wasn't any animosity there. There wasn't any like almost hard feelings. It was just, hey, this is what happened to me. I've really appreciated my time with GM, and then like you said, like what am I going to do next? And I think, when I saw that, the thing that really struck me was like 37 years of service and then a text message like early in the morning. And I think that's what resonated with people. I'm looking at the video right now. We had the video on TikTok got 2 million views. It was shared 7,700 times. And total play time of that video was 19,000 hours,
Oh my God.
19,412 hours. Isn't that just insane?
I know.
But,
And I wasn't even on.
You weren't even on TikTok at the time, I take it.
No. People send me this link. I'm like, I don't know where this is coming
from. Well, why do you think, number one, why do you think people are resonating so much with this? And is this something that's just going on in corporate? And I'd love to kind of get your perspective on that, like what we're seeing as far as the corporate landscape goes, and why companies tend to be like this when they're parting ways with people.
Yeah, I mean, it is a change. I've been there so long. I was with GM in 2008 when a whole bunch of people were let go, and I was a manager at the time. So I was not an executive. I didn't have the nice office, so I didn't have to tell people to their face that they were being laid off. But that was the way we did it, and it was tougher back then. It's certainly easier now to just hit send on an email to let someone go. And it's really unfortunate. And General Motors is a legacy company. They've been around for well over 100 years. But I think we're starting to see a lot of the legacy companies act more like a tech startup, where it becomes less personal and it becomes easier. And so, I mean, it was certainly unexpected. Financially, General Motors was doing very well last year, so I think that was one of the big surprises, is that there were 1,000 people laid off that same day, about 500 in Michigan and 500 elsewhere in the country. And I think that was the big. Usually you hear about layoffs when a company is in serious financial trouble, and the fact that it happened at that time was a bit of a surprise as well. GM's head of HR came from Cruise, a tech company out on the West Coast.
Yep.
So, she brought, what she did at her tech company into a legacy company, and GM leadership felt that was the way they wanted to go with their HR policies. So that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, walk us through how could companies have just more empathy, or what would have been helpful for you? Obviously, it's never going to be good news, right? Having
No.
being let go and getting the news is never gonna be good. But how do you think they could have approached things differently? And what advice would you have for people who are managing, people who are leading, and just how they can be more empathetic with these types of situations?
Yeah, there's no great way to do this. There are some bad ways to do this. I knew, the executives in my chain of command, some of them I've known for well over 20 years and did not hear a peep from anyone. I heard
You think
a lot
that's
of nice
just
things from,
fear, or they're just worried about saying the wrong thing? Where does that come from? Because that just seems odd.
I'm sure, I have to imagine that the legal people will say, be careful what you put into writing. So, employees who are laid off don't come back with a lawsuit. So I can certainly understand an email, but I don't know if there's a problem with just picking up the phone and talking to somebody in person. Like I said, in 2008, people were brought into an office and the information was delivered live, which is very difficult to do on both sides. But I think it also is a little more empathetic to be able to do it in person. My brother had been with Microsoft. He and his whole team were laid off as a group in a team. No, a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
So I actually learned, I kind of learned from his experience going through what I went through. That was done on a Teams meeting, but at least there was a little personal element there. I think, hitting send and a generic email is literally the least empathetic and least personal way to do something like that.
Yeah, Josh just commented, companies do this because they think it's cleaner, and oftentimes it is orchestrated by legal, which is already kind of that's the cold department, right? You got to do it. You got to do it the legal way. Kind of going back to this your authentic communication on LinkedIn. I mean, that post I think you did resonated with a lot of people. So do you think people are kind of expecting this type of behavior now, and that's kind of why it's compounding? And why do you think your story in particular just hit in the way that it did, even with me picking up the story as well? Why do you think that went so viral?
Yeah, I mean, I was as surprised as you. I think, because it was a legacy company exhibiting that sort of behavior. And I think you are seeing it from more and more legacy companies. It's one thing when a Microsoft does it. It'd be another thing when the General Motors or Procter and Gamble or, a more conventional consumer products company. I heard from a number of people who were laid off the same day who didn't know how to talk about it, and were glad to have somebody at least broach the subject publicly and discuss it. And I've since wound up talking to people who I never met at GM, but who now find themselves concerned about their job and worried about the culture. GM instituted forced ranking last spring. So people are wondering now, should I start looking outside? Should I stay inside? How do I kind of manage my new career in this new environment? And I think now a lot of folks in legacy companies are facing the same pressures that a person in an a tech startup might face as well.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about this all the time. It seems like the corporate loyalty thing, it's kind of over. And I think you mentioned it earlier. I think Microsoft last week or a couple of weeks ago, they laid off 9,000 people, but they're profitable. And so we are kind of running into this time now where even companies that are doing really, really well, they still seem to be cutting large amounts of people, which then just brings that uncertainty for everyone, where it's like this whole idea of being loyal for 20, 30 years, 37 years doesn't seem to even matter as much. And then when they're laying people off in the fashion they're laying people off, it seems pretty heartless. What have you been up to post layoff? Walk us through what that's looked like as well. I know you're up to a couple of cool things as well. What are you up to now?
So in 2023, GM had offered some buyouts, which I didn't take because I really like my job and I really like the company. But I had started to think about post GM. And I'd been targeting 40 years, which would have been January of next year. So I kind of pulled all those plans forward. I started in an LLC called Auto Perspectives. Because I really enjoyed what I was doing, I said, let me see if I can do it now, kind of without the GM handcuffs, and talk about the business and talk about automakers and strategies and products. So the idea is consulting, blogging, some freelance writing, some public speaking, just continue staying involved with the business. I'm speaking at a University of Michigan class coming up at the end of August. Currently president of the Society of Automotive Analysts. I joined a group called Thrive, which is for service entrepreneurs, consultants, designers, executive coaches, things like that. So just looking around out there and then looking on LinkedIn too for a lot of resources. So, kind of pulled forward my post GM activity. But I do like the auto industry and I do like to keep busy. So that was kind of the plan.
And you were pretty involved in DEI, involved in the LGBTQ plus inclusion efforts as well. Obviously, DEI is under under a lot of changes right now. So, kind of walk me through from your perspective and being really involved in ERG groups. Like, what can HR do to support groups more, especially right now? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it is definitely a tough environment. I ran GM's LGBTQ employee resource group for 15 years. And I joined the group. I came out late in life. I was 36. But I saw an opportunity to help other people internally, bring their authentic selves to work and be more productive. And I did see a lot of positive change in GM culture while I was running the group and then beyond that. I think we got a lot of support from HR in terms of helping. I didn't have any kind of HR or diversity training when I got involved. So talking to the folks in HR who knew more about how to manage culture, how to train people, how to educate people. I talked to people about, just even terminology within the LGBTQ community and understanding some of the challenges that we go through that they take for granted every day. So I think HR has an opportunity. I think HR plays a large part in driving corporate culture. It comes down from the top. But HR, it's literally human resources. So they're the ones that have to promote those values internally that are set by the leadership team.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, Adam, I know it's been great to connect with you. It's amazing that we haven't chatted for some reason, so we need to change that, and I'd love to connect with you. Where can people find out about what you're up to now, what you're doing? Where can people connect with you? And I'd love to give that opportunity for people to connect with you and follow your story as well from here on out.
Sure, absolutely. So my website is autoperspectives.net. There is a blog there. I have a YouTube channel, Auto Perspectives LLC. I do like a weekly news roundup, 10, 12 minutes, just talk about some fun stuff going on in the industry. And then I'm becoming more active on LinkedIn as well, posting and sharing ideas and thoughts and whatnot, and engaging with more people. Just kind of looking forward to the next phase and what else I can do to, contribute to the business.
Amazing. Well, Adam, it's so great to connect. And for anyone who is out there, you want to hear Adam's story, go connect with him on LinkedIn. And then you can, if you actually go to my TikTok page and you hit, there's a button you can press for most popular videos. I think it was my 4th most popular video I've done. So if you want to kind of check out that story as well and see what people were commenting, I would encourage you to do that. And we will talk soon, Adam. So thanks for joining us on the HR Morning Show.
Great. Thanks for having me. So long.
All right. We'll talk soon. Bye.
The premiere. Oh, hello. I was muted. All right. Quick pause for a shout out to our friends at ERIN, the premier employee referral platform that is actually making employee referrals work again. That is right. If your team is still begging people to send in referrals over Slack or email, it is time to look into the right solution, which is ERIN, which automates the entire process and makes it ridiculously easy for your people to refer great talent. More hires, less chasing, and check them out. If you want, you can also head to erin.com/redshoes for some red shoes and join the Red Shoe Gang before conference season starts and kicks off. So kick off conference season with Red Shoes and the rest of the ERIN Red Shoe gang, and check out erin.com.
Shoes. So good morning, beautiful HR people. Today on the weather report, I'm tracking a storm front in the job board world. And honestly, probably no one cares, but I care, so I think I should talk about it. Because despite all the buzz around social media and AI tools, job boards are still the number one way people find jobs. Right now, the stats are that 70% of job seekers still use job boards as their primary search tool, hence why this is relevant. So I recently talked about this on the weather report, I think a month ago, when these two companies filed bankruptcy. So two past giants, Career Builder and Monster. So for all the young folks, probably don't remember, and Monster is not the energy drink, but we all used to go to these sites to find jobs. Like this was our Indeed and LinkedIn of our day. Well, guess what? They have officially been sold at an auction this morning after filing for bankruptcy a couple months ago. And the buyer, a company called Bold Holdings. I have no clue who they are, but they placed a winning bid at $28.4 million, beating the original bidder JobGet. To give you some context on this, Monster at its peak was worth around $8 billion, and Career Builder was worth around $2 to $3 billion. And now it's being sold for pennies on the dollar. The amount of traffic these sites used to get was just ridiculous. And just to see it at this point, it's pretty crazy. So I was talking about Bold. I never heard of Bold. I don't think many of you have heard of Bold. You might recognize their brands, probably not. A company called Live Career, My Perfect Resume, Zeddy, FlexJobs, Resume Builder, and Sonera. Basically, they have built their whole business model around charging job seekers for tools like resume builders and job search automation, like the lazy apply tools. And now they're jumping like full steam ahead in the job board industry. And the question is, can Bold actually revive these once dominant brands? I'm going to bet a lot of money they won't, because job seekers have way more choice than they ever had. But the challenge we have is all these choices kind of suck. But Bold does have an opportunity to try to fix it. But if I had to predict or put any money on it, I predict they're going to crash and burn. And a year from now, we won't even remember all of this happened. And Monster and Career Builder will be completely in our memory, and Bold will just be a footnote. But here's the thing. Job seekers are still going to job boards, but their patient is wearing really thin because like they're not getting jobs. Like how many LinkedIn posts are you seeing that I've been looking for a job for months, for years in some case, and they're really frustrated. So this should be a warning for the Indeed and LinkedIn of the world that get most of the traffic on job search right now. You have to go back to your roots and be very concerned about the experience for job seekers, or you are becoming irrelevant, as Monster and Career Builder just are showing they are. So that's your HR forecast. Let's get back to the panel. So guys, I have a really interesting stat here.
Okay.
It came out yesterday. So LinkedIn is processing 11,000 job applications a minute, 15 million a day. Isn't that an insane number? Like,
it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Does it? Yeah.
I mean, from what you're hearing with the feedback, I mean, right, it seems like it just goes to an abyss if you're applying online, right? And the question is kind of now what? But yeah, those numbers are staggering. But from everything I hear, not, as Danielle kind of said, not surprising.
Yeah.
No, it's not surprising. But I think like job seekers are still using job boards. They're still going in Indeed. They're still going to the job function on LinkedIn. And I guess this is our opportunity because there's a lot of HR folks that are probably watching this show that are like, what do I do? Like, this is the tools that I'm used to leveraging when I'm in HR. And now You're telling me all these tools are kind of dying on me. Like, what should I do when I'm looking for a job? I think the last time we talked, it's community is key, right? And I think we're seeing that. But if you're looking for a job right now and you haven't built a community or you're not involved, it's not too late to start. But like, what do you do in the meantime? You still have to apply for jobs, right?
Yeah, I mean, so it reminds me of like typical product market fit and strategy, right? So like most companies that are successful rely on their customers for feedback.
Yeah.
And in this case, the customer, it's like there's two sides, right? It's the customer is the company that's posting the job, but the other customer and the end user it also matters a lot, because if the end users stop applying and stop relying on your product to apply because they're not getting results, which is increasingly the case, then you're not going to get traffic and your customers are going to be upset. So I think that overall, job boards need to adjust their strategy in terms of how to force and encourage and incentivize their companies that are their customers at the end of the day, to create practices that actually warrant results for end users,
Yeah.
or job applicants. Because if you don't put any, sort of guidelines or boundaries around it, then people are just going to lose trust in the process.
Well, I think that's exactly what happened to Monster and Career Builder. I think you just like nailed it. And I think this is what's happening with some other companies in our space that I mentioned. But I'm curious, Clark, what's your take on, should job seekers use lazy apply tools or automated job search where you can apply for hundreds, thousands of jobs in a day? What's your take on that?
I think it's just setting expectations. There's nothing wrong with trying, right? You just got to know what the odds are, which you just gave them to us. And depending on the industry that you're at, like, look, if you're applying to a forklift driver job on LinkedIn or mechanic or like a superintendent job, like there might not be many applicants, right? Because those people are hard to find, right? And then it's a matter of, do you have the skills and everything else? So
Yeah.
I would say be strategic, be intentional. It's never been a better time to do those things at scale than right now, right? It's understanding, kind of really being introspective. Where are you at in the market? What can you get paid for? And the saying goes, like, your network is your net worth a little bit, and you can build that. You can expedite that. I mean, I always had 100 connections on LinkedIn in 2020. I have like 20,000 now. Like, just every day, I just built and I kind of built my own ecosystem
Yeah.
and just invited people to get to know me, posted content, right? Like, again, you never want to post content that you're just complaining without a solution or anything like that. So you got to be careful. But if you can, there's tools you can leverage, sales navigators, different filters of who viewed your profile, people that posted, or leadership changes. Like, there's different tools out there, right? You could leverage some automation, right? Use a cloud-based tool. You can build your ecosystem on a pilot. You can get in front of your market with content and talk about projects and do a little bit of thought leadership, right? We're in the creator economy. There's attention economy, but now it's really built to more like the trust.
Yeah.
Edward can get attention, but can you really build that trust? And that happens by just showing up over and over again. So it might be uncomfortable to wrap your head around, but the people that are doing it are building a network fast, and they're having conversations and invited to rooms that weren't really possible before, right? It might not have been possible 10, 20 years ago. So there's a huge shift, right? If you can kind of just adapt and kind of wade into the uncomfortable and not just kind of what's simple or what everyone tells you to do, which is just easy apply and then kind of throw your hands up and just give up. But like, be creative, be innovative, proactive. There's potential out there.
Well, I think you nailed it. Like,
That was the Hot 100 with Clark.
yeah, that's a hot
200
one
maybe.
for sure.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it, because similar as in sales or marketing, if the person you're reaching out to has seen your content, feel like they kind of know you, they're going to be way more responsive to respond to you. And if they see your name in the applications, there's a way higher likelihood that they're going to reach out to you. If you're a known entity, you remove some of the risk. Because, like, honestly, hiring is like there's risk aversion. Like you're trying not to, as an HR or hiring manager, like you don't want to screw up. You don't want to hire the wrong person because that looks really bad. So a big part of hiring is managing risk. And if you know someone or you feel like you know someone, you're kind of alleviating some of that risk in your head, right or wrong.
Yeah.
So I agree completely. Instead of leveraging lazy apply tools, applying for jobs you're not qualified for, start building content, start being like on LinkedIn, even TikTok. So when you get to that point, people are going to know you. And the other thing you'll be surprised is how many people actually reach out to you. Because
Yeah.
if you're seen as a thought leader in whatever, right? People will reach out to you and want to hire you without having you even apply. So I think that's fantastic
So true.
advice. I
Because it
would
could be an
definitely
asset to
focus
their
on that.
brand, right? To the brand, to their company, someone that's willing to put out there. It's a
Yeah.
marketing channel beyond what you could do for them. And Josh Rock said in the comments, it's a perfect time to activate your network. So often people shelve their network like a high school yearbook, and it collected dust. An active network far outpaced job boards' effectiveness.
So true.
And he's spot on. And that's
Yeah.
the cool thing. It's not just new people that you kind of activate in your network or build. With what I've seen with some of my recruiting clients, they start posting, they're getting leads and clients right away from people that they've known for years, 5, 10, 15 years, that maybe forgot what they did, or they were reminded, or it just hit at the right time, right? You never know who's paying attention. A lot of times we look at that as a negative thing, right? Especially given the last few days and the scandal heard around the world. But there's also that's a double-edged sword. There's also a good side to that. If you're posting the stuff that's relevant to your ecosystem, like, people are going to gravitate towards that in a positive way. There are benefits. I think you just have to be kind of disciplined and not go for the low hanging, easy viral fruit, but like put yourself in someone that's a busy leader, hiring manager. What's they're going to catch their attention in a good way, and focus on that.
Love it.
Love it.
Danielle, would you, if you had $28 million, which you probably do, would you have bought Monster and Career Builder for that price, knowing that it was used to be worth $10 billion?
No.
No, it's so
Because
not relevant to you.
no, because job boards just don't work. Like you have to listen to what people are talking about, right? And listen to the chatter and what the conversations are on the ground. Like I said before, it'll tell you a lot about the product. It'll tell you about the experience. It'll probably also tell you about the future of whatever company we're talking about, and whether or not you should invest in them. And if they were in the stock market, which I don't know, are they?
Not anymore. No.
I probably would not invest my money there.
Well, I think that's a really good point. Let's look at Indeed as an example.
They just
Indeed
laid
is
off today. I think there were layoffs at Indeed and Glassdoor.
last week. So they laid off, I think, 1,300 people last week. But they're still driving billions of revenue and they're highly relevant. And we see the applications on LinkedIn. Like, brand is still key in job seeker experience. So I would buy Indeed or LinkedIn for $28 million tomorrow. I would find the money. But I think the biggest thing, because I do think people are going to go for job boards for a really long time. Eventually it's going to shift. But like, if you look at the mass of people that are not used to looking for jobs, going to one space and finding all the jobs and applying to it is very attractive.
Totally.
Although we agree there's many other strategies that you should do. So it's kind of, I wouldn't pay $28 million for those brands, but someone did, I guess. So
You got to feel like there's a way to reach brand Career Builder. I mean, it's just a great name in general. It doesn't just have to be a job ad board. But I don't know, if I had 20 million lying around, maybe I'd give it a shot and come up with something. But maybe next year.
It's crazy because Monster had like Super Bowl commercials. Like
Yeah.
they were so massive. Like when I was starting my career, like you went on Monster. That's where you went to look for a job. I probably got a job on Monster at one point.
Career Builder was huge for me when I started recruiting. I use it all the time to find skill trades, talent, warehouse help, manufacturing plants we were placing people at. Career Builder was our go-to along with our internal ATS system. So, I mean,
well, it kind of goes to our guest right before talking about GM. GM was so big, the brand was so dominant, and now if you ask a lot of young folks, they like they don't even really relate to GM. Like, it's not even considered a big brand. So I guess the warning here is for companies in the HR tech space and job boards, like, you gotta stay on top of what's good, and if not, your brand will become irrelevant.
They got to talk to Danielle.
Yeah, they got to talk to Danielle. Exactly.
It's true.
All right, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Serge,
Thanks
appreciate
so much,
you, man.
Serge. All right. Looks like we have another guest.
At Humoriso, we're not just another HR consultancy. We're a team of dedicated experts wanting to bring your business forward. Our Humoriso Technology Solutions, HTS, are a different kind of HR tech. Give real-time insights without overwhelming managers with too much data. So whether you're a growing startup, an established company, our human resources outsource support, payroll management are all there to help drive your business forward. So check us out and see what Humoriso could do for you today.
Hello, Chris. Hey. Welcome to the fam.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where on earth are you?
I'm in a town called Trumbull, Connecticut.
Oh, lovely. I know Trumbull.
You do?
Yeah. I grew up in New York, but also in Connecticut in Brookfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're named after the Connecticut governor during the Revolutionary War. So kind of
very cool. Very cool. I love that. Connecticut is, in my opinion, very underrated. I think it's beautiful. I think there is a lot to do. It's very family oriented. Mm-hmm. So many reasons to love Connecticut. So
all the New Yorkers are now moving here. So
yeah, exactly. I'm sure you're thrilled about it. But welcome to the HR Morning Show. So excited to have you here. So for anyone who doesn't know who you are, can you share a little bit about who you are, and I'm going to steal from Adam, what you do best?
All right. Well, I'm now a part of the or Purple Acorn Network with my podcast, RecTech Podcast. So that's the first thing. I've been doing that podcast probably since 2017, I think now. Wow. So going on 8 years. I might be the oldest podcast on the network.
I think so.
Yep. Okay. Got that going for me. But I've been in this space for about 25 years now. I started as a job board entrepreneur back in 1999, where I ran a local job board here in Connecticut called Fairfield County Jobs. Ran that for about 13 years, built it up to a 6-figure, 20-site network based on different counties in the area.
Wow.
And sold that in 2013. Then I dabbled in a few startups called Career Cloud, which actually still exists today. I did a podcast way back in the mid-2000s around job hunting as well, called Secrets of the Job Hunt. So I've been podcasting for a long time. So I go way back in the podcast days. And today I run RecTech Media, which is basically a way to inform the modern recruiter out there about the new recruiting tools and technology and tactics that employers are using to hire talent. So I try and bridge that gap. I think the recruiting profession has really gotten very technical in the last 10 years. And I speak tech. I used to be a recruiter as well, corporate recruiter for a couple of years. So I wanted to try and just help break through that noise for them and show them what's new, what's possible with recruiting technology. That's why I've initially launched a show and my company. So
I love that. And here we see the beautiful cover art of your podcast. Very cool, very flashy. I like it. RecTech. So make sure to check that out, everyone. But going into a bit of your background, I know we were just kind of shitting on job boards a little bit, but I am curious, what you see as maybe the difference between job boards, back when you were building one versus now, and maybe some of those differences also surrounding, I think I'm gonna keep it simple for you. What are the differences there?
Well, back in the day, job boards are simply just like job listing websites. listed jobs, and maybe they had an email. We had like email addresses for the apply. Like you actually click the email link to apply, and it goes right to the employer. Like those are the old school days when you knew it was working, right? Today, they're all redirects essentially. So most job boards, when they have jobs up there, they're either backfilling through aggregation, or they're scraping the employer career site or XML feed. And once you click apply, you get redirected back to the ATS. And that's basically 95% of jobs today online that you're going to find, right, as a candidate. So today, job boards are really like they're lead gen essentially for employers.
Right.
That's how I think about them. They're not going away because like employers need a place to advertise a job listing. All right, they can't just put it on their career site and hope for the best.
Right.
They do that, but they also need to hit active job seekers, and that's where job boards come in. So saying job boards are going away is essentially like saying like advertising is going away, which is not true.
Yeah.
So they're always going to need places to put those jobs and to attract an audience overall, right? But they're definitely evolving though. So what you're seeing now is, AI coming into the picture, and you're seeing these tools like Resi and Teal, Final Round, and I think we're evolving into that space a bit. Job boards are where you're letting AI help you create the resume, research around the job listing. And oh, by the way, here's also jobs as well, which you just click on, you go up to the employer site. So that's the newest trend I see in the job board space. So these tools are getting funding as well from venture capitalists. I know Teal has raised a round, Final Round has a round they raised. So that, to me, that's the next generation of where job boards are headed, from what I see so far.
Super interesting. So I'm going back a little bit in time too. In your earlier days with your job board, you had the nickname, I guess you earned it, the mad scientist of online recruiting.
Yeah.
Due to your experiments with job boards, recruiting tech since then. So how do you now advise HR leaders to really infuse employer branding with human story and not just algorithms, especially when they are adopting these new tools in this new environment?
Yeah, to me, it's about being authentic and taking that mindset into anything you do as an employer. Whether it's, testimonials, day in the life content. I did this as part of a couple of corporate recruiting jobs that I had, also a few clients as well. We would, I did an interview with some employees and, getting their testimonials, things like that, bringing that to life. But I think employers have to sort of think of themselves as a sort of a career resource, or a new, like if I was running a employer brand department today at a big corporation, I would maybe hire like a news reporter and say, go out there and find stories about what it's like to work here, and just like give them free reign and go out and, go to the office or go to the field here and embed yourself with people doing the work. That's one thing I would do today. That's a simple example, I think, of how they can infuse authenticity into their career messaging and showcase what it's like to work there,
I love that. Yeah. Treating it, yeah, like hiring a journalist, basically.
Yeah.
Treating it like you would any other story,
Internal,
any other. Yeah. I love
news
that.
News channel,
Yeah, 100%. And when it comes to, integrating new tools, what do you see as the biggest pitfalls or challenges HR teams face when they are integrating new tech?
Well, there's a lot of pitfalls there, and a lot of them, some of the tech goes over their heads.
Right.
I think it can be complicated. Setting up a workflow in an ATS is not something the average HR person was trained on, right? So it definitely takes some work with the vendor themselves in terms of leveraging their knowledge about how to set up the workflow and adopting that. So you want to get your vendor on board as a partner, and you want to get the team involved as well. One thing, I brought in an ATS at a company I worked for, and set it up myself essentially because I could do that. I was pretty techie, but I had to bring the team in, right? So we had like those little lunch and learn sessions each week as the onboarding came on, and I tried to teach them as much as possible about how the new tool works. Of course, you get pushback. Oh, there's too many clicks now, or that kind of complaints from the recruiting team. But
Yeah.
you have to get everyone involved. There has to be stakeholders, and you also don't want to overcomplicate things too. I think there's too many workflows out there in the ATS world that provide that friction for the candidates, and it's creating that resume black hole that we all hear about. So
For sure.
really have to take a thorough approach to it and think about the candidate perspective, which I don't
Yeah.
see a lot of them doing.
Yeah, 100%. I very much support that one. So give us a little bit as we kind of close this out. Give us a little bit of alpha that people can expect to experience and get from the podcast. What are you going to be talking about, sharing about? I haven't tuned in personally, but I will now, of course.
Hit that subscribe button, Danielle.
I will.
So I talked to a lot of vendors on the show about what they're doing. So I try and keep the audience up to date as far as the latest and greatest tools and technology out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a vendor, hit me up, show me what you got, and let's talk about it. I also try to get some TA practitioners on the show as well in terms of how they use tech to hire talent and get their perspectives. So that's kind of the core. And I do a Friday show as well, which I do the top 5 headlines from the week from HR Tech.
Love that.
So this week is a lot of funding this week. So stay tuned for that one.
Oh, very exciting. All right.
Getting funded. So yeah.
Any are you going to be commenting on the cultural phenomenon that is Coldplay?
Well, the Coldplay thing. My wife's coworker said she was at that concert, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
There were a bunch of other kiss cams right before that one,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, I am so excited. Welcome to the fam. I'm excited to tune into your show, to get to know you more. And thank you so much. Where can people find you, find the podcast? Let us know.
RecTechMedia.com and Spotify, Apple, all the good places. And of course, PurpleAcornNetwork.com.
Of course. All right. Well, we will talk
Happy to
soon.
be here.
See you, Chris.
Thanks, Daniel.
All
Well,
right.
that was fun.
I
Good
know.
chat.
Yeah.
How exciting. More Pan Fam.
I know. So how many? I think we have 15 podcasts. That's
Roughly, yeah.
That's
For
a
sure.
big deal because, and I've been listening to the RecTech podcast almost since its inception,
That's
in
wild.
2017, 18. People don't realize it's got a massive audience, and there's a reason for it. When it comes to being updated in this industry, Chris is the man. He is what did you call him? The mad scientist of online
Yeah,
recruiting?
the mad scientist of online recruiting.
Well, that's good. Now we've got a lot of great podcasts. So everyone should go to purpleacornnetwork.com, check them out. And obviously we're on Spotify, Apple, and all the key ones.
All the places. And make sure to like and subscribe on LinkedIn to Purple Acorn. You'll see a lot of clips, a lot of content on there. Get a taste of all the shows that we have. And of course, head to erinApp.com/red///red shoes. I know the difference between the two. And keep it going, fam. Let's get into conference season soon. I'm so excited. And if you want to see more Purple Acorn, head over also to purpleacornnetwork.com and find us on any platform.
Follow us on LinkedIn. 2K.
2K. We need to get there. We're almost there. So
The 2,000 follower gets a pair of free red shoes.
yeah, there you go. Another great show. Joel had to
Another
drop
great
off
show.
because he's hosting a webinar on TA Week.
Yes, TA Week.
So everyone listening, go to TA Week and try to find Joel. He was very excited about doing it.
Extremely excited. I'm sure he's going to bring the heat and stay cool out there. I think it's going to be hot this weekend. So all my love. It's my birthday tomorrow, by the way. Mwah,
Wow.
happy
birthday.
Yeah, I'm getting older like all
21?
all of you.
What we got?
Yeah, 21.
Nice. Well, enjoy your first beer on Surge.
Yeah.
He's paying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Send me the bill.
Yeah, I will. Sounds good.
It's a
All right.
legal age in New York 21 to drink. Is that across all the U.S.?
In the U.S.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's 18 in Canada. We start drinking really early.
You
It's
guys
long winters. You got
crazy.
in. So
Yeah, exactly. We need to keep
You
warm
can't drink, but you can vote and you can drive. And you
and go
can't
to
vote,
war.
but you could drive.
it all makes sense. Don't worry about it, sir. No,
It all
Yeah,
makes
no
it makes a
question.
lot of
It.
sense.
Yeah.
All the sense in the world. Also, thank you so much to everyone commenting. Shout out to Pause and everyone in the comments. Josh Rock, Jim, this
the
other,
man.
this Jovi. We love you all. Thank you so
Pause.
much for tuning in. And
That's it. I think Pause is back next week.
Oh, that's a big
lots to look
news.
forward to.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks for watching.
Maybe
Thanks,
there's going to be
y'all.
another scandal. All right, bye.
Bye.